So today I want to talk about the business model canvas and why it's an integral part of your early planning for your startup. So the business model canvas is based on a book called Business Model Generation. I'm going to get the names wrong, but it's Alexander Osterwalder and Yves Pigneur. So this book came out about 14 years ago, and it's probably in the last 5 years or so that most startups, and certainly ones that are in accelerators, use the business model canvas. The reason it differs from the earlier example where I said creating a business, first business document about how you're going to create your business is that this gets a little bit more granular. So you can see here that it's got key partners, activities, resources, value proposition, customer relationships, customer segment, channel, revenue stream, and cost structure. For me, I think the really important part is to work on is the value propositions. The reason being is that most people who start out in business and most people who are actually in business don't really understand what strategy is. Michael Porter, who is the guru on strategy, defines it as a way of you looking at all of the things you do and how you do them that are different to anybody else, those unique parts. And if you get this right, what it allows you to do is create more value for your customers, which means that you are not competing in a red ocean versus a blue ocean. So, for example, on here, value proposition, no high markups, higher quality resource, upskilling, convenience, a mixture of software and onshore people. So this came up to be a strategy that I got off a different book, which was called $100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozi. So he calls this a grand slam offer, where you package everything up into something that is going to be so unique and so valuable, your customers are going to be, I'd be stupid not to purchase this. So let's go a little bit deeper. Once you have that defined, let's lay out additional things that you can go through one at a time. Now, this is based on Entrepreneurs Organization, which go a little bit deeper into the kind of core strategies. This is also based on a book by Hamish Burns, or Vern Hamish, I forget his real name, which is about scale up. And again, if you buy that book, you can probably get most of this information from there or either on the internet. So you list your top 5 core customers. If you don't have a real customer, you obviously have to put down a fake one while you're starting. And secondly, you want to have a look at the ideal characteristics. What are the key things that you feel are going to be the type of person that wants to work with you and will value your product or service? Next, you discuss and refine that list further to attributes, and then you put that into a 10 to 20 word draft description. But we don't stop there. We go an extra layer, and then we start to create a sandbox. Where will your target geographic be? Now, for me, I always find that you want to be piggyback off other customers and people who already know, like, and trust you. And so you go where people already know you, friends, family, relations, all of those things, people that are willing to pick up a phone if you call them. Then you can have a look at what will you sell. So you try to list your category or products and services. Who will you sell to? Top distribution channels, and then forecast changes and trends 3 to 5 years out. This is just kind of big picture thinking. Next thing you want to work on is your brand promise, which is super important. Your lead promise, you've got a supporting promise, and then how will you measure this? So when you work through this, does it fill the core customer need? So many people start a business, and what they do is they build something that doesn't fulfill a core customer need. Does it differentiate you, which I talked about earlier? If you sound and look like everybody else, your strategy is going to be a lot harder to get traction on. And is your promise measurable? Can you know that when you've delivered on what you promised, that it's actually measurable, which makes it easy to replicate? So again, you work through all of these ideas and you then come up with a brand promise that is quite catchy and actually is able to be measured. Next, let's go on to differentiating activities. Again, what I talked about with Michael Porter, what are the differentiating things that you do that potentially nobody else does? So you start looking at your competitors and then you try and reverse that and look at things that they are not willing to do or won't do. And can you find a niche within that or a value proposition that no one else is doing. Then you look to collaborate and assign on your top 3 to 5 differentiating activities. I'm clearly struggling with that name. As I said, Grand Slam offer, this is what we've done. It creates great value and a price point that will help you increase your conversion of your sales. Next, you start to then sort of coalesce all of this into one thing: core values, purpose, brand promise, BHAG, big, hairy, audacious goal, your strategic priorities. And again, what I like about this is that you want to work on what's your first quarter, not 12 months time. Then you can go to a year. Then you can look at your BHAG 3 to 5 years time. And then finally, you put down quarterly projections and then your KPIs. So that's a summary of how you take the business model canvas and take it several layers deeper so that you're really clear on what your strategy is. And by strategy, I mean what's your value proposition and what makes you so unique versus potentially all the other customers who sound similar or do something similar to you. I hope you found this useful.